Hello, today I have a very minor optimization for you, and this came about because I am trying to get to 0% Nintendo code, which means I have to go through the engine, see what Nintendo wrote, and basically just do this and then re-implement this. I am not trying to optimize anything here, but I am trying to implement these things in a sane way. And unfortunately, the original game does not implement these in a sane way, which means that every time we do this, we're gonna get minor optimizations. The level script file here, I think, shrunk by around 50% when I did this, which means around half of the entire code is just wasted to insanity. Let me give you the example that I want to talk about today, and that is level common place object and create warp node. So first of all, what is a level script? A level script is this. It sets up how a level behaves. So first it loads the bunch of segments into memory, then it sets up some graph lists in my engine. In the original game it does geo layouts, they're slightly different. Then it sets up warp nodes and objects, and then it does some other stuff to make sure the level exits fine. Alright, so warp nodes and objects is what we're looking at today. How does this work in the original game? Well, first of all, let's look at warp nodes. So when you make a warp node, it creates an object warp node. Object warp node is 12 bytes. It gets some properties copied over. It has an empty object field, and it sets up a linked list for the area. We also have this area not negative check, you know, this sanity check. I don't do these. In my game, it's just like, yeah, if you have insane values during beta testing, just crash. During final build, fucking too late. Like at that point, you already have a bug. Don't make the bug. For objects, it does something very similar. It has the spawn info. This is 32 bytes. 0x20 bytes. Sorry, I'm just gonna go with hex. If I don't go with hex, I'm gonna confuse myself later. This is hex to 0 bytes. Copies a bunch of properties again, sets up this linked list, and then it puts the linked list here. This spawns the objects in reverse level order, which is, I guess, a bit weird. And it also, you know, has the whole linked list, and again, it allocates the whole thing. So how do we do it better? Well, fucking just don't. Like what? Just don't do that. That's my solution. Sorry if I'm being a bit upset. Yeah, like why would you do that? Why is it not just the level script comment is the object warp node? So this way we don't need a linked list. We can just put them in an order in the level script, and there you go. And then the object, this is the great part. Actually, this is kind of a smart thing that I did here that the original game doesn't do. If my VS Code worked, so you see how this is actually like 8 bytes of comments, which, oh my god, wait, never mind, I need to look at my repo, this is messed up. First of all, also you see this, how this is no spawn info mention anymore, whereas here it was 129 mentions of spawn info. This vastly simplified the code. Anyway, in my engine, like, we keep this empty, because then we can just store the object pointer over the level script comment after we've read it. That way we don't waste all this data being in memory doing nothing, because we just store over it, you know, because we no longer need it. And with the actor spawn list, we do the same thing. Instead of allocating object spawn infos, we just have one actor spawn list. That, by the way, is only hex 18 bytes instead of hex 20 bytes. Needs no linked list, and we just iterate this until we're out of objects. Of course, that does mean that, you know, something like this is kind of being iffy. Currently, I handle it by just like, if I hit a Mario post comment, I just skip it. But technically, it would be best if we just exported the level script like that. But that would mean I have to re-export everything from class 64, so that's something I'm going to be slowly phasing out. This means we save hex 20 bytes per actor. There's maybe like 100, maybe like 300 actors on a level. That's 6,000 bytes. That's more than, that's 6 kilobytes. Same with object warp nodes. There might be, I don't know, maybe this is another kilobyte. That's a lot of memory saved. 8 kilobytes. I'm thinking when I'm done going over the entire code, implementing everything in the same way, in my own way, We're probably saving around a tenth of megabytes just for that, which would be amazing. I am not sure if I am ever going to make a version of RTYI that fits into 4 megabytes, just because the amount of dev time required for that would be insane. But I am going to make the engine a lot easier to work with. This is also going to make implementing multiplayer a lot easier once I'm done with this, because there's a lot of silly things that make multiplayer very difficult. So do look forward to that, hopefully. Anyway, that's it. Bye bye.